You know, the more I think about it, the more I've come to have this view of anxiety that maybe it sort of influences everything. And maybe that seems obvious, especially if you're someone who deals with anxiety. I imagine this is supremely the case if you have some sort of disorder that's causing you to experience it more than you should. But I more so mean the way in which a lot of people find themselves frozen. You don't want to make the wrong choice, you don't want to make the wrong move, so it just kind of leaves you there, not making any move. It's kind of like why we have the phenomena of choice paralysis. That feeling of going onto Netflix one evening at 9 p.m. to watch something and then not deciding until 9:55. And by then, whatever you finally select might actually be too long to watch, and you end up canceling your plan. Something like that. It's not that there's a shortage of options, but sometimes there's too many. I think people feel this with careers as well. I think people can also feel this when they are looking to change something about their life for the better. Whenever you have the urge to exercise, or to diet, to go for a walk, to do even things that you love very much, and you know that they are good for you, something about you will often want to put it off. Or for people with ADHD and related situations, they might actually have this feeling where they postpone everything in their day until something occurs. And they might even do this if they don't know when that event during the day is supposed to occur. It could be something they're looking forward to or something they're dreading. It could be a shift at work, or it could be some video or episode of some media is going to come out. It could be after they have a meal. Absolutely anything. And they'll let their entire day be derailed leading up to that point. There's no real order to it. And that whole time they're kind of stressed out. I think a lot of people these days feel this way about many things. And I think it can push us towards hedonism in its own sort of way. The main reason is because when you're staking your hope on a future good instead of something that is just a present hit, it's less tangible. It requires faith in a certain sense. That's sort of how humanity is with our notion of sacrifice, where we're paying in the present for a future good. At times, it's a hard thing to maintain, and we would just often prefer a more animalistic view. Take what's good right in front of me. There are cases where children were told that they could have one marshmallow, or they could wait 10 minutes to have 2 marshmallows, but during that 10-minute wait, they cannot eat the initial marshmallow. A lot of kids actually would take just the first one. I believe it was the majority in these studies. I don't think people entirely grow out of that. It certainly takes a lot of discipline, and discipline chiefly will come from the self. You spend more time as an adult not under the rule of a parent or guardian, and when you're making your own choices, you might find some of these things more difficult. Why do we see things like obesity, porn addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, useless and seemingly endless materialistic spending, collecting of worthless things, investment in digital currency, not cryptocurrency, but rather in-game currencies? Nonsense. Ultimately, it's worthless. It's kind of the peak of a surrogate activity. It doesn't give you anything, it's a distraction. And that's the case with much hedonism. It will actually take away something, but in that immediate moment, we feel as if it's scratching an itch. It's satisfying something for us. And again, I think it all ties back to anxiety. Now, I don't think thug it out will necessarily sate everyone's problems in this regard. But find the path that works for you. Maybe you need to pray and contemplate. Maybe you need to meditate on an upcoming problem. Whatever you have to do, do it. And I suggest this very sternly, you don't want to replace your contemplation or your patience, whatever form of dealing with the issue, you don't want to replace that with consumption and hedonism. These things will not have the payoff that you want. You will feel better in the long term when your sacrifice is rewarded. And sometimes maybe you need to see the rewards of other people's sacrifice. Perhaps if it's hard for you to commit to something, really dwell on the success stories. And for the love of everything you hold dear, don't dwell on the stories of when they stumbled, when they had some sort of setback or failure. That's going to, in my experience anyways, give a sort of free license to make your own error and then kind of wallow in it for a bit. You might actually push yourself into a negative binge from whatever bad behavior you've tried to cut out. Just look at the end game and think about getting closer to it. Anyways, later.